Hello again. We continue getting familiar with the basics of classical massage, and in today's lesson we will talk about the importance of theoretical training of a massage therapist. In our previous lesson we mentioned massage courses that offered to learn massage in just a few days and where practice takes the most of the time. Usually those people who choose such courses think that these few days will be quite enough to understand the basics of the massage, and they also often believe that for a massage therapist the main thing is to know as more massage techniques as possible, and that everything else is an unnecessary theory. So it is not surprising when, after such express training, some of those massage therapists, at the mention of words such as anatomy and physiology, almost lose consciousness. This attitude to the theory of massage can be somehow understandable when it comes to amateur massage, but if the massage therapist plans to do the massage professionally, then he should understand that in addition to working with his hands, he will also have to work with his head. And for professionals, probably it is better to know only 10 or 15 massage techniques, but correctly apply them, than to know hundreds of moves, but to use them simply mechanically from what is taught at the courses. To make it clear, here a few analogies. Imagine that car mechanics will not study the device of cars, and that they will immediately be taught only to work with the screwdriver, wrenches, and other tools. Those specialists will be great to unscrew and tighten the screws, but they will not understand why they're doing it. Or another example. People are trying to get their driving license, and on the very first day of their studies, without knowing basic road rules, they start driving around the city in order to study right away in real conditions. Some of you may disagree and say that massage is not the same thing as being a mechanic or as driving a car, because massage is much easier and more harmless. But I don't think so, because there are many examples when massage therapists who believed that massage is something quite simple and harmless took on clients with problems that even experienced doctors did not take on. For example, one of massage therapists that I knew was very fond of putting in place supposedly displaced discs, but at the same time he was not very familiar with the anatomy of the spine of a healthy person. Another friend of mine who had worked as a massage therapist for a couple of years was very interested in the topic how to raise lowered internal organs. And he also had big problems with anatomy. In particular, he confused about which organs in human's body are paired, the kidneys or the bladder. One more example. Sometimes reading throughout social media you can find an interesting myths about massage. Some, for example, after just one massage became lighter by 2 kilograms, and the person is absolutely sure that they lost fat. The other one had pain in the joints because there were some salts there, and the massage therapist broke it. I mean broke the salt, not the joints. A third person had something drastically increased or disappeared, and so on. Where do such myths come from? The reason for such myths is often ignorance of the theory of massage. And massage therapists explain the effect of massage to their clients the way that they imagine it. And even though the results of the massage are often positive, some massage therapists cannot explain what actually happens to the body that achieved this result. In other words, topics on the theory of massage are as important as practical side, and we will not ignore it. How are we going to structure our classes? I will not post detailed videos about the structure of human's body, as the internet has a lot of good videos on these topics, and at our lessons will be mentioned only the most common and important aspects of anatomy, which must be taken into account by a massage therapist. And if you are not particularly friends with anatomy, and we begin to speak different languages, then try to find materials from other channels and view them before we begin the lesson on massage. So let's get started. We can study the human structure in several ways. The first is a way that we all learned at school, and some lucky people continue to study in college or university. And if we describe it very briefly, it will look something like this. The smallest unit of life is a cell. Cells together with intercellular substance form tissues, and tissues form organs. The organs are organized according to the functional principle into organ systems, and then all this system together form a single whole organism. So in less than a minute we have gone through the entire course of human anatomy, which usually takes 2 years to study at university. As you probably understood, this is not the easiest and most popular way, and to every word that was mentioned can be devoted a separate science or even a few. For example, the processes occurring in the cell are studied by cytologists, geneticists, biochemists, and science of many other specialties. And if you seriously want to study the structure of the human body in this way, then be ready to memorize a pile of information. Therefore, I propose a slightly different way of studying that does not go so deep into theory, but closer to practice. And it consists in the following. Here on the screen you see a normal naked man, perhaps even healthy, which can be quite rare nowadays. The difference between this picture and the real client is that some parts of the client's body are usually covered. And now, for better understanding, let's try to join the anatomy with school math and perform the action of subtraction. If we take away the skin from this imaginary client, we will see the following picture. Please don't be scared, these are just computer layouts. And in fact, a person without skin is not as colorful as on the next slide. So we get a body covered with muscles. Muscles in turn are arranged in layers, and what is presented in this picture are the superficial muscles. Under them lies the next layer, followed by another, and so on up to the bone. On some parts of the body there will be more muscle layers, on some less, but often, for the convenience of massage therapists, all muscle layers are divided into two, superficial and deep. Although, if you go into detail, in some places you will see more than 2 layers. If we continue to undress our volunteer and remove all muscle layers, we will get the following picture. We will have the skeleton and the connections between the bones, the joints. And this is the deepest level that you can work on, accepting the work with the internal organs. As a result, skin, muscles, and joints are usually the main targets for a massage therapist, and the bulk of the work in classical massage happens with this. Someone may object, but what about the impact on the blood vessels, lymphatic, nervous, and some other systems? There is also some influence on them. The answer is yes, they respond to massage, but indirectly. A massage therapist acts on nerve receptors and blood vessels that are located in the skin, muscles, and periarticular tissues. Skin, muscles, and joints are the organs that massage therapists can touch, can rub or stretch during the massage. The receptors and the bulk of the vessels are much smaller in size, and they are massaged automatically during the massage, whether the massage therapist wants it or not. For example, it is impossible to make a muscle massage without affecting its vessels or receptors. On the other hand, it is also impossible to affect the receptors and blood vessels without touching the skin. In addition, changes in response to massage occur in the internal organs and in tissues which the hand of the massage therapist does not directly touch, and in order to properly influence the various structures, regardless of their size and distance, we need good knowledge of the structure and physiology of our body. I hope I was able to convince you that skipping the theoretical section is not the best idea, and here you can find a lot of information that is useful for understanding the action of massage. That's all for today. See you in the next video.